Hoka, the max cushion trendsetter, just released their highest stack high shoe, the Skyward X. This is a max cushion super trainer, and they're packing a lot into this shoe. I've put over 50 kilometers on it, and I'm ready to give you my thoughts. Just a quick disclaimer though that Hoka did send these to me for review, but all my thoughts and opinions are my own. Anyways, let's get into the video. Let's go ahead and start with the upper. The upper is made up of a flat knit material and has a nicely padded tongue and ankle collar. Along the heel is also a molded heel counter to help keep your heel locked into place. The upper reminded me a lot of the Clifton. I didn't have any issues with lockdown and it fit nicely. However, in the summer heat, the knit material isn't the most breathable and can get a bit warm. As far as the fit goes, I thought that the fit was spot on and true to size, good length, good width, everything there. However, one thing to note is that the sock liner does come up pretty high, so if you've had issues with that before, you might want to be cautious of it. I personally had no rubbing, no blisters, no anything, but I just noticed that it did come up pretty high. Now let's talk about this midsole. This is definitely the main talking point of the Skyward X. It's Hoka's thickest shoe with a stack height of 49 millimeters in the heel and 44 in the forefoot. It uses a PIBA core that is surrounded by a supercritical EVA frame. In between the two foams is a unique carbon fiber suspension plate. And while there is a lot of foam, after my first run or two, I was honestly kind of disappointed in this shoe. I felt like my foot was sitting on top of the foam and I wasn't really able to press down, compress it, and kind of sink into the foam. However, after 30 miles, the foam started to soften up a little bit, started to break in, and I was able to compress it easier, and that really changed my opinion of the shoe and made it a lot more enjoyable. So it is a super high stack shoe, but it's actually quite stable. The wide platform, bucket seat design, the heel counter, and the firmer EVA shell all help contribute to this. But it was one thing I appreciated, considering that many shoes with this much foam in them can be very unstable. The ride was very smooth from heel to toe thanks to the rocker. However, I noticed that when I tended to land more midfoot, I was able to compress the suspension plate more and really feel it bounce back. So I do wish that the foam was maybe a little softer off the bat and you didn't have to break it in. But I do understand there's finding that balance between having a really squishy, soft, and unstable shoe and having one that's going to be a little bit firmer but more stable. Overall, this is definitely a high cushion shoe. With so much foam under it, it will feel almost bottomless. It's definitely going to help protect your legs while you put on those miles. Let's go ahead and touch on this outsole. So it uses high abrasion rubber that covers the main wear areas, and I found it to grip well on the road as well as gravel paths that I was running on. I don't have much concerns with durability considering the rubber is showing very little signs of wear. However, rubber is a contributing factor to weight, and this shoe is not light at 10.8 ounces. It is on the heavier end for sure. Let's quickly touch on the run types of the shoe. So it's definitely not a speed day shoe for me, even though it does have that plate and that top layer of PIBA. It is too heavy and too much underfoot for me personally. Now, talking about everyday training, I think if you enjoy training in plates, this is durable enough to handle a beating, but where I think it really has that sweet spot is for long runs and recovery days, where it's going to have all that protection underfoot to keep you protected through the longest of runs. And then when you're taking it easy, it's going to have that rocker to help you through your stride, as well as just be super soft and protective. All right, now I do want to do a couple of quick comparisons that I figured people would be asking about. First one is with the New Balance SC Trainer V1. So these are both very high stack shoes. The SC Trainer is going to have 47 millimeters, while the Skyward X is 49. They both have plates, though the SC Trainer has a full length carbon plate, while the Skyward X has a partial, that unique suspension plate, more kind of situated in the midfoot. And they're also both shoes that are on the heavier side, but I think the main difference comes in the foam, with the feel cell being super soft and squishy right out of the box on the SC Trainer V1, while the Skyward X is a little bit firmer out of the box. I think this kind of comes down to preference as well as your stability needs. With such a soft foam on this shoe, it is quite unstable and can be wobbly, while this one definitely feels much more stable. So me personally, I kind of like that really squishy, little bit unstable foam, but that's just my personal preference. The next shoe is the Prime X2 Strung from Adidas. Again, this one has 50mm stack height and this one has 49, so pretty close there stack wise. This one has 2 plates in it versus just the one on here, but they're both kind of that similar idea of those illegal super trainers. However, some of the big differences between the two is mainly in the ride. I feel like the Prime X can be a little bottom heavy with kind of a minimal upper and such a big heavy shoe underneath it. The Skyward X feels more balanced top to bottom. And then with the Lightstrike Pro foam, I thought that it felt a little more energetic, a little bouncier than the EVA PIBA that's in the Skyward X. So between the two, I think I prefer the kind of more balanced ride and more cushioned upper of the Skyward X. Even though it is a little bouncier, I think it's more balanced than the Prime X. So it seems like recently Hoka has just kept expanding its lineup with new models, and with the Skyward X here, it is technically replacing the Bondi X, so it's not a completely new model, but it is. But anyways, it is their attempt to break into that new super trainer market, and it meets the price of a lot of those super trainers at $225. The shoe is not cheap, but I guess you do get a lot of foam for that price. So after that break-in period, I did really enjoy using the Skyward X for my long runs and my easy runs. However, I didn't really find any situation where I would prefer it over my Clifton or Bondi. Especially with that price tag, it kind of makes it hard to justify when there's just other options that I tend to prefer. I like the kind of more marshmallowy-ness of the Clifton. However, if you are looking for a stable, endlessly cushioned long run crusher, I think that the Skyward X is definitely a shoe that you should consider. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Skyward X? Have you tried it out? Are you picking up a pair? Does it sound like something you'll like? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on running.